I didn't turn on the audio. All the thing that we say. Yeah. So anyway, the thought are not us. The thought themselves are generated essentially as part of the nature, and then they propagate into the mind, and we pick it up. We misled. We misidentified. The problem with yeah. So Sri Krishna said that all living beings are in integral part of the God creation and have role and responsibility to fulfill. Vedas prescribe performing yajna to please the celestial God, who in return bestow the material gain. The yajna cause rain to fall, which aid in the production of food grain for the sustenance of life on earth. Those who live only for the delight of their senses and do not accept their responsibility in this cycle are sinful and living in vain. However, Sri Krishna said that when work or prescribed duty are performed as an obligation to God, they are also considered yajna or sacrifice.
What is defined by its prescribed duties? Yeah. How do I establish what my prescribed duties are?
Like, for example, what role do you play at work?
Whatever I do at work, it is for a salary, so it's not like something I'm doing that's righteous. It's for a benefit. But beyond that,
no, that depends on how your motivation, how you look at it. I can go to work, and whatever role and responsibility or duty that I'm responsible for, I can do it to the best of my ability. I can go to work just to satisfy the time that I'm at work. So it all depends on your mindset. Remember how we talk about the mindset, the motivation? Everything is driven by the motivation. Do you go to work for the sake of helping the overall good of the society, or the benefit of all humankind, all being? Or do you look at the way that you do your work as something that you get your salary? See, the people, the good people, or the people that know the truth, what they do is they can work for free. They're willing to work for free. Now, they love their work so much that they're willing to work for free. The fact that they receive a salary because of that, that's just a thing. That part of the result. But in their mindset, they don't go to work just because they pay the salary. Right? So that's why there's a saying, love what you do and do what you love, because that's what, when you love what you do, you tend to express or manifest the best of your ability. And that is serving God. That's essentially what this sacrifice is. Because you're not doing it for the sake of just getting that salary to pay whatever. You're doing it before that's for the greater good of humankind. It's kind of like going to work producing this piece of equipment, right? If you didn't put all your mindset or your focus or your resources and then your time dedicated to making sure that equipment works perfectly when it delivered to the customer, that affects everyone, right? Especially in the world that we live in right now, where everything affects globally, right? When you deliver something and you do a crappy job at it, it's gonna affect everybody. When you do your work the right way, the best way you can do, it will help everyone else in the end. And that's what it all boils down to. We live in a single earth, and we need to, the synergy that we build up all depend on that every single individual contributing to the overall good of the society. The moment that we fail to deliver that, it affects everyone. Yeah, the mindset is, yeah.
So what does mindset mean? What does it encompass?
Yeah, so this chapter, it's gonna go dive into that. Basically, where you should emphasize. Actually, it dived it at the very end. The very last verse is where it say where your mindset should be.
Your internal dialogue, what the thoughts are, okay, you can have a growth mindset, okay, I'm facing a challenge, but I'm not going to be frustrated or angry about the challenge. I'm going to change my mindset to see how I can overcome this challenge. So the thoughts create a mindset. So how, that's why I'm a bit like, yeah, we're not our thoughts, then why master it, right? What creates a mindset?
Okay, your mindset is something you build up over many incarnations. It's not something. It's not something that it just happened. It doesn't just happen. Certain people are born with a certain mindset, right? Because they have built up that. Yes.
But we just identify with the incorrect thought. So switching to a different thought pattern is what creates a mindset. I mean, in my head, that's what, I mean, according to psychology, I guess.
Yeah, it depends on how you. It all the mindset still relate back to the thought.
Yeah.
Okay, it's what you populate in your mind that create the mindset. But in this discourse, it teaches us to move beyond that, because what happened is if you build up your thought and you keep it in this so-called echo chamber, right? And you keep collecting that same set of thought, then it becomes not reality. You're not looking at the thing in the in terms of reality. Well, you gotta move beyond your mindset. It's still a very, very last verse. Actually, the answer is actually in further down. This discourse tree is just leading up to the discourse tree is about discussing about the issue itself. What is the cause, essentially? It does not actually give you the actual solution, because there are 18 discourse in the Bhagavad Gita, and so far we only on number 3. so the discourse 3 is focusing more on the root cause. What is the root cause for all this trouble, all this misery that we are facing? And at the very end of the discourse 3, the verse 43 is when he kind of like give you a preview of what to come, which answer the question of how you can leap over that mindset to do the right thing. Okay, so let me continue on. Sri Krishna said that all living beings are integral part of God's creation and have a role and responsibility to fulfill. Actually, we already discussed that. Sorry. Go to the next one. He then explained that unlike the rest of humankind, the enlightened soul are not obliged to fulfill their bodily responsibility. They are situated in knowledge of the self and execute higher responsibility of the soul. However, they do not abandon their social duty, as it may create disharmony in the mind of common people who are looking up to them for inspiration. Therefore, the wise continue to work without any personal motive, only to set the good example for others to follow. Or else the ignorant may abandon those prescribed duty prematurely. Sri Krishna mentioned one such example of the enlightened King Janak, who performed his early duty as an ideal king and father. So throughout the history, there are plenty of people, wise king, that do that. Externally, they do all their duty, but internally, they are motivated from a different level. So internally, they are driven by a different source of motivation. And the motivation is way up in the spiritual level, at the Buddhi level. So anyway, Arjun then asked Sri Krishna why people commit sin. Okay, so up to now, to the last this paragraph right here, that summary is up to the last lesson. So up to the very last lesson, verse 24. This is where we get all the information about being a good role model for other people and executing to the best of your duty, so that all your fellow follower can use you as a role model and do exactly like the same thing. Because when they view you as a role model, if you do good, they would do good. If you do bad, they do bad. Well, ultimately,
because it doesn't resonate.
well, that's because it due to they're shrouded, what they call in this particular discourse, they're shrouded in different level of how you say.
They cannot see the good that you're doing.
They misinterpret, and they basically they don't have the proper understanding.
Then you are impacted, right?
Yeah.
It all depends on the intention.
Yes, my intention is good.
And that's all that matters. Because here's an old story that a rabbi was going through the desert with his camel. And he needed to take a little rest, take a nap, but he didn't want the camel to go away. So he made a hitch in the ground, tied the camel to the hitch, and then took his nap. After he was ready, he unhitched the camel, but left the hitch right there, saying that it'll help the next person, whoever comes by. That was his intention, his motivation. Well, a few days later, another rabbi comes by and almost trips over the hitch. So he takes it out so that no one else trips in the same way. So both rabbis are doing what they feel is good. It just adversely affected the second rabbi. But that doesn't make the first rabbi's act evil. That was my...
Yeah. So it's still it's called involuntary, wherever, right? You still, although you're not penalized like a voluntary act, but you're still responsible for it. because you create that karma.
So anytime there is judgment, we're putting in karma because.
Well, it all have to do with your intention, like James said, right? If the intent is good, then you create good karma. If the intent is bad, then you create bad karma. It's just that in this discourse, it explains about that, but it doesn't say how you leap over that. So if you actually use your intellect at the Buddhi level, if you use it the proper way and you're trying to do it correctly and have it make the right decision and consider all the consequences before making the decision, then that's the right way to do it. Because what happened now is you're no longer bound by your own set of values, right? Your own set of viewpoint. You are now raising what is considered the proper understanding or the wisdom of the gods at the Buddhic level. And most of the time, we let our intellect just sit idling along instead of do the hard work of thinking about these things for ourselves. To consider the action that you take and the consequences that it may ensue, right? So yeah, although his intention is good to leave it behind, but he didn't consider the consequences of leaving it behind. So when you change your thinking so that it now looking at the overall complete picture, what are the consequences that I leave that stuck behind, right? Then he may not make that same decision. Yeah, now if you are thinking at a higher level, yeah.
Hello. Sorry for the lateness.
No problem.
My sister said be early, but of course I'm not.
Yeah, so yeah, it go back. Yes, it go back to making sure that you are keeping the intellect, the driver of the car, wherever it happen to be, in control, right? Active and actively engaging and considering the impact of the consequences of his or her action more like a holistic manner and not just a single-sided viewpoint, right? Because you consider, yeah, it will, for this particular case, it will help for someone else coming along. However, what are the other scenario that could happen, right? So the last paragraph here is essentially cover the second half of the discourse tree, which we're going to talk about. Arjuna then asked Sri Krishna why people commit sin, even when unwilling, as if by some force. Lord Krishna explained that lust alone is the sinful, all-devouring enemy, similar to a fire that is covered by smoke, a mirror covered by dust. In dust, desire shroud one's knowledge and dilute the intellect. In the end, Sri Krishna advised Arjuna that by controlling the senses, mind, and intellect, one can slay this enemy called desire, which is the embodiment of sin. So that paragraph itself is kind of like a summary of what we covered today in the second half of the discourse tree. Are you able to read that?
Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't really tell from my computer. The screen is so okay, but I don't know if it can show up on that. So as I said earlier, I like to look at both versions of the translation. The Annie Besant one, the Annie Besant one is the one that is in bold letter, and then the other one by Swami Hokung Ananda is in the italic letter. So you can read here. This is the verse 25 and 26. As an ignorant act from attachment to action, O Bharata, so should the wise act without attachment, desiring the welfare of the world. And the other version says, as ignorant people perform their duty with attachment to the result, O son of Bharat, so should the wise act without attachment for the sake of leading people on the right path. A little bit different, right? Let no wise man unsettle the mind of the ignorant people attached to action, but acting in harmony with me, let him render all action attractive. To me, it's a bit cryptic, right? So the other version say the wise should not create discord in the intellect of the ignorant people who are attached to the fruity action by inducing them to stop work. Rather, by performing their duty in an enlightened manner, they should inspire the ignorant also to do their prescribed duty. That is a bit more meaningful to me than the Annie Besant version. John Algeo, this is the explanation for the books 25 and 26. John Algeo put it in there. Just, all you need to do is just be an altruistic role model and lead others onto the right path. The essence of niskama karma, or desireless action, is doing what one does, not out of personal motive, but because it will help the whole world. So that's the mindset that you need to be in. Okay? And that's what H.P. Blavatsky actually called real theosophy. Theosophy is what the theosophist does. Theosophy is not the lecture, is not the concept, is not the theory, but it's what the theosophist does. Okay?
What is action?
No, you lead by example. The mindset of the theosophist is to actually practice what he studied. And become a perfect example for other people to follow. Yeah.
Not reading the book, but how we practice what we have read, we put it into action. And if we don't turn it into action,
yeah,
then it's useless. Why are we calling ourselves philosophers? Right?
Yeah, that's why the three pillars of theosophy, which they talk about, right? Which is first one is study what you don't know. Second one is meditation. You got to contemplate on what you have studied. And then third one is service, to actually do the work and actually express, manifest what you have contemplated on, to see that it actually work.
When out, you want to take action. What will make you take action?
That's the second step. That's the second step, right?
No, I think that's the first step, because if you don't change the inside, then the outside will still, because you're perceiving the world, everything from the inside out. The inside must change.
Yeah, of course, it starts with the first step, which is study, right? The problem is most people they get to a certain point where they say, I know everything already. The moment that thought up into your mind, what happened? Yeah.
Then you open up your possibilities. That is moving from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset.
Yeah.
So it's a mindset. That is what I mean by mindset.
Yeah.
Unless the minute you say I know, you have closed your mind to listening to possibilities.
Exactly. It's a perfect example of WhatsApp that we talked about this morning. My mindset, I say, WhatsApp, no, social media, I don't even have any social media account. I don't need it. It's not useful to me. Why do I need to invest the time, resource to learn more about it, right? So the moment you make that decision or that choice, that right there stop you from proceeding with the first step, which is study about it.
It's a waste of time. Just
Yeah.
prayer. And for me, it's not a waste of time because I'm reaching out people with my desirous action while offering, free sessions, healings, or whatever, where people can connect and create a private community of people who want the same thing. So
Yeah, but you gotta be careful. Now I hate to diverge from the topic at hand, but you gotta be careful with that first step of study, though, because at the feet of the master, it reminds us the knowledge, that information, that study, whatever that we do, focus on doing the study of what you need immediately at this point. You don't want to be a bookworm and just suck up every single piece of knowledge and not be able to actually practice it. Yeah.
But that meditation, the study should change, evolve us to a different behavior.
Mm-hmm.
The behavior becomes our action. Because how we do
Mm-hmm.
Purity, unselfish. You have to change selfishness into unselfish. Figure out how to do that.
Yeah.
Serve humanity and reveal the truth to everyone.
Change everything into love.
Love. It's all about love.
It's
Correct.
all about love.
Everything. Yeah.
So whatever it is, the mindset, the fixed mindset, I already know. It's like, okay, is that out of love? So we go to question, inquire. What is that thought that's creating this? Where did that thought come from? And why am I thinking that way? And part of this also, I believe, is self-inquiry. We got to do self-inquiry as a practice.
Study first. That would for most help you to help others.
Yeah.
That's part of that feeling, master. And in the light of his holy presence, all desire dies, except the desire to be like him. That's enough. I have all these little sentences.
Yep.
And I've been studying for 56 years since I was 16. And I got into Aquarian meditation. That was interesting, but that was just a temporary phase. Because, but it helped, it was a stepping stone.
Yep.
And then I got a lady that kind of took me in and said, you need to study the Bailey and the Blavatsky teaching. If you want to find out what's going on. I said, okay, well, let me look. And I looked and I said, oh, wow, the truth. And I recognized that when I was 16. Now I'm almost 72. So, so it was a big, now here I am, And I thought by the time I got my age, I would be master. No. It takes lifetime. It's not, you don't do it in 1 minute. No. It's you have to, your whole life has become devoted to it. Your mind, everything. Yeah. That's me.
So what was the turning point right there? But that's a different question.
Yeah. She just revealed that here, look at this. And I opened up the book and I looked at it and I said, oops, the truth. I'm not ready for this. I was 16. I was, I recognized it. My intuition.
But at
Well,
some point you turn.
yeah, well, I mean, I just started studying it slowly but surely.
But it has to turn from inside out. It didn't turn, I mean, the book was given, but anybody can give you a book and not do it, like put it aside.
Right.
Taking action, and it came from inside to turn.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, so this discourse actually talk about that process as well. There is a leap of faith that you have to take. And it's gonna cover that as well. So coming back to the subject here, is also the Bodhisattva vow. That's what Buddhism is all about the Bodhisattva ideal. Act not for our own sake, but for the sake of all beings. And that's what the great compassion is all about. So the great one is the master, the teacher of the humanity, not by what they have said, but by who they were and how they live. It's living by example. Okay. So that's the first verse for the verse 25. So the verse 26 right here, it talks about at the same time, it's not wise to impose our own value on others. Most people in the world do things because of what they hope to get out of doing. It's the result, it's the paycheck, It is pointless to tell them that they shouldn't be motivated by the product of their work. Acting for personal benefit is the worldly norm and is not inherently wrong. That's how the norm is. Most people will follow that. It's the carrot stick, right? God give each one of us free will, the freedom of choice to say and do things that are different from what others say or do. That's the freedom that we have. In the Constitution, every single one of us has inalienable right. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and so on. Mm-hmm.
We got a choice to change our thinking when it starts from there.
Yeah. In other words,
What book is this from?
We're studying the Bible.
Oh,
yeah, it's a study guide.
Oh, yeah. That was the first thing we studied.
Yeah.
So the three things to study was the Bhagavad Gita, Raja Yoga, and the New Testament. I mean, and of course the other secret doctrine, we already know that. But I'm saying that because I learned when I was younger that you have to take from all the different, and I have a friend of mine who just became a born again Christian, and she's trying to convert me into her view. But she doesn't understand I agree with that. You know what I mean? I already agree with what, not necessarily her interpretation, but just that there's truth there. I'm a follower of Christ and Buddha. Yeah, all of that. Yeah, Krishna. Yes, everybody. All the masters,
Yeah. So, in other words, different stroke for different folks.
Who's the author of this particular? Who interpreted that particular Gita?
It's from John Algeo.
Who?
From John Algeo, the late John Algeo.
Algeo?
Yeah.
He was the president of Theosophical Society.
What's the last name? Algeo?
Algeo.
Yeah. So this is it right here. Yeah. So we on the lesson 8 in his study guide right here. Let me zoom in. See. Yeah, lesson 8, which covers essentially discourse 3 in the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
So if you go to, it's available on the, what we do is we upload, actually we don't upload, all these documents are readily available on the internet.
Yeah.
If you scan this link right here, you can get to the resources that we are using. And John Algeo study course is at the very top right here. You click on that link, you will get that document. Yeah. So let me go back here.
I like the book. I mean, that's good. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
I have the actual physical book. Okay. Old school, you know.
yeah, so it's uploaded by the Department of Education from the TSA, our national headquarters in Wheaton. And well, of course, it was developed by John Algeo when he was still around. So it's the same study course. He revised it several times when he was still alive, but this one is the very latest version. Yeah, they do.
I mean, I haven't seen it. I mean, I want to see it.
Yeah.
Because I love books, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a very nice campus in Wheaton, Illinois. Yeah, so the way he divided up is there's essentially, I think 28, is it 28 lessons? But the Bhagavad Gita itself only have 18 discourse. But he kind of like break it out a little bit more so that he can take a deeper dive into the individual verses and try to explain it so that you can understand it a little bit better. Yeah.
I still have difficult studying the secret doctrine, even after all these years.
Yeah.
You know, I can read one page. I have to be a scholar. You know, I mean, to look at one page even in it, you know, just open the book in the middle and look at it and try to, good luck, because, you know,
yeah.
You have to be a scholar, you have to have a whole library of encyclopedia of books to interpret, you know, all the different things, because she pulls from so many different sources.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. I mean, I like to study it, of course, you know, but it's still, even after all these years, it's, wow. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So
Einstein studied Bhagavad Gita. I mean, the secret doctrine. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a book by his bedside, and in the evening he would study. Of course, you know, it makes sense. You know?
So many people need the incentive of attachment to action, but the Bodhisattva who act for the welfare of all can show them the possibility of another way of life. So the wise perform their duty dutifully, not for the material reward, but for setting an ideal for the rest of society. As the old cliche has it, action speak louder than words. Going back to what we said earlier, like lead by example, right? So that's why the saint, they actually live and perform their daily duty in an enlightened manner. Externally, they do everything that we do, but internally, their mindset is at a higher level, at the Buddhic level. And when you operate at that level, you are in the control. It's kind of like the driver of the car. The driver is in control. The driver is not falling asleep. That is falling asleep, daydreaming. Yeah. 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 Yeah, and they're gonna explain how and what happened here in this verse. So verse 27, 28 talk about the action itself, and back to the distinction between the action and the actual decision maker. All action are wrought by the quality of nature only. The self, deluded by egoism, think that I am the doer. I am the one that's driving. I am the one that think. I am the one that say, that do. But he, Almighty who knows the essence of the division of the quality and function, holding that the quality move amid the quality, is not attached. The Andy Bazan translation is so cryptic, I don't understand it.
I was gonna say.
Right? So you can see, like, this Middle English is just, it shut me down already. Like, oh. So the Swami Mukhananda version, all activity are carried out by three modes of material nature. Okay, a little bit better to understand. But in ignorance, the soul, deluded by the false identification with the body, think of itself as the doer. So it's saying that all the action itself will happen regardless, because it's based on the material nature. The material, the machine, the mechanism itself will operate, will act. Because in the previous second half of the Discourse 3, we already know that there's a mechanism that is going on. Everything, the entire body, mind, and intellect mechanism is a machine. It operates by itself, by the nature of action. There's nothing in nature itself that is inaction. It's a false illusion that we see, that we think that is inaction. Because even when we are kind of like sitting here in a position like this, there's still action going on. Uh-huh.
Took action in this, let's say, not the right action. So I'm not the doer,
Mm-hmm.
but yet the consequences were not.
If I'm not a doer, how do I generate karma?
Not where I expected. So
Yeah, the answer is right here.
do that.
The answer is right here.
Thinking it was my thought pattern. So where did that thought come from to make me act that way?
Yeah, okay. So the answer is right here in this right here. It's deluded by the egoism. The egoism is the personality in Theosophy. Yeah, the ego. So the ego is it's kind of like a thin layer that wrap around your divine soul. Each one of us is a monad, right? A monad is it's like a combination of the atma and the buddhi. The atma itself is so subtle. Yeah, the divine spark, right? It in itself is so subtle that it cannot operate, it cannot move, it cannot manifest. It just is, right? It is part of the absolute. So in order to operate, it had to take on an outer sheet. And that's where the buddhi portion of our body, actually, the intellect actually came in. So when it take on that buddhi atman, the monad itself become conscious. It has something to operate against. But still, at the Buddhic level, there is no differentiation yet. It's still a single thing, right? So what happened now is when you are part of the whole, you cannot recognize the difference. kind of like, I don't know, you ever do photography? You ever do white balancing? Anyway. So imagine if everything were white. How do you know black? If everything were black, how do you know white? So what happened now, separation need to happen, right? Because until you get separated, you don't know the difference. Yeah. Oneness is already oneness. It doesn't know any better. So the separation happened. This is where the mind come in. At the mind level, the mental state, the mental plane, separation happened. Yeah. So what happened is now it needs to kind of like a vehicle. Each one of these things is more like a vehicle of expression. Everything in life is about expression, it's about manifestation, right? So when you go from the Atman level, which is unmanifested, and you want to go manifest what you want, you gotta have vehicle to manifest them in, right? So that's when the Buddhi, the Buddhi manas actually come into contact with each other, where it take on yet another layer, kind of like putting on an extra layer of covering, so make it denser, right? The more dense, all the way down to the very bottom, of course, is the mineral, right? The mineral is the densest that you can get to. But every single plane or every single principle that we go down essentially differentiate and make it more of a variety, right, of expression. So that's why the moment that the divine soul take on going further down in the plane, and it take on the ego or the personality, our own personal individuality, that's when it kind of like get diluted. It now it's kind of like the part of the whole, and you taking out this little piece of part of the whole, and you split it out into individual parts, right? Each individual part now has its own thinking center, its own operation, and so on, right? It had a tendency to think of itself as I am I. When the I-ness that you're talking about, that is what we're talking about here. I am not that, I am not this, and so on. So those individual I is what the ego is. And the thing itself, no, I'm not part of the divine. I'm separate from the divine because that's all it knows. When in fact, it in itself is just a vehicle of the divine. The divine split it out so that it can learn, right? It's kind of like a you want to be able to do multiple things at different level, right? You got to split out your activity, and you delegate this to individual divine spark to do the work. And that's what your Dharma is. The Dharma is nothing more than the absolute or the divine itself trying to exercise, do all this activity in the world. So each one of us, as a divine spark, has our own Dharma to fulfill in life. And that's up to us to recognize what that is. Okay, so it explained here that the illumined person distinguish the soul as distinct from the gunas and the karmas. They perceive that it is only the gunas in the shape of the sense, the mind, and other that move along the gunas in the shape of object of perception, and thus they do not get entangled in them. So the first question you probably ask yourself right now, what's the gunas? Yeah. Yeah. So it explained right here. Most of what people do is not intentionally chosen action, but a conditioned one. We do things every day throughout our life because we have acquired the habit of doing them. To a large extent, that is inevitable. A way of talking about such conditioned action is to attribute. A way of talking about such conditioned action is to attribute it to the gunas, or the quality or strength of matter. All matter is composed of three such qualities, to which the Gita often refers to. Every bit of matter in the universe has all three qualities in it, but in different proportion and relationship. Matter is, as it was, woven out of the three qualities of strength. Action are generally just the conditioned result of the fluctuation of the three gunas, or material energy of this Maya, or illusion. So it go on to in Algeo study guide, it go on to explain about the three gunas, right? The three gunas, the name tamas, grass, and sattva. Tamas essentially talking about your ignorance or your inertia, which is like you don't want to do anything. It doesn't want to move at all. So all of this describe movement, mobility. Yeah. As you know, I mean, based on quantum physics, we all know that matter is not real. Matter is essentially energy. Einstein already proved that E equals mc squared, right? So matter itself is an illusion, it's Maya. Everything in life is composed of energy. So energy does what? Energy moves. Mobility is the key point for energy. Energy doesn't stay still. So inaction, what we call inaction, is an illusion, right?
Non-action part of the universe. Sense of the oneness. I mean, it's also in there. They tell you that, you know, that it's an illusion, but at the same time, in reality, everything is just one, which is God. I mean, you know, and this one God is motionless, no movement.
Yeah,
just
the divine.
The divine.
Yeah, the divine soul is immobile, but the individual personality, well, the problem is the individual personality is separate from the divine and does not recognize that the divine soul is immobile. It essentially got deluded and falsely misidentified itself with the gunas.
Overcome the resistance to change. It's only through change we transform and evolve, right? So there are people who don't want to change.
Yeah.
What is it is going to make us want to change? Sometimes we get hit by the hard knocks of life, and then we come to realize, oh,
you finally make
I
it
have
up.
to change.
Yeah.
So we don't all have to go through that, but what is it that's going to bring that realization?
Yeah,
I have to change.
pain, violent action over a period of many lives. Finally,
But even in this life,
Even in this life,
talk
yeah,
about this
you can do it.
What is the inertia Because that people
Ignorance.
don't want to change.
It's called avidya.
But
Avidya.
they are quite happy. They think, okay, they don't have to, look, that's another mindset. I don't have to change. I'm okay. It's everybody else is the one that's wrong.
Yeah.
You see, that's a mindset. We're going, so no, when something happens externally, we tend to go into blame and judgment. It's all down.
Yeah.
You know, how do we switch?
Yeah. So let's put an analogy because I like an analogy. Okay. So analogy for these state. Well, let me cover the state first. The tendency of the material energy, and then I will give you an analogy. Maybe it will make more sense. Raha is essentially the passion, the activity of the tendency to change without control. Right. So if we're looking at, I don't know, you ever see an oscilloscope, which measure the electricity, right, flow? You can see that tamas is equivalent to a low signal. There's no activity, no electron moving through the circuit at all, right? It's just completely flat line, right? That's what tama is. Don't want to move, don't want to do anything, right? Rajas, on the other hand, is the opposite extreme. Completely outburst, right? Active, moving. So the energy level, if you measure on the oscilloscope, is a high signal, constantly high, all the time, right? High level activity. So people that are like activists, they got strong passion. The Rajas, the energy in them is really strong, right? The tamas, on the other hand, I don't want to do that. It's too messy. Yeah, laziness, carelessness, whatever it happened to be. And then the third one, the sattva, which is harmony or goodness, which is a more like a rhythmic action. They're more like the moderate people. So what you see on the oscilloscope is that it's more like a sine curve. It alternates between the high and the low signal. So now the signal itself, the amplitude is more toward the average, right? You don't go all the way to one extreme, and you don't want to go all the way to the other extreme. You're neither left nor right, good or bad, right? It's just in between, right? And the Buddha encouraged us on that path. It's called the goodness, the good path, because what happens is you stay in the middle. You're not gravitating toward either one of the extremes. Yes. Yes.
Sometimes we're so excited something happened, we're so low, something didn't happen, but staying in balance and not going with that fluctuation, constant fluctuation. How do we stay in balance? Because nature is in balance.
Yeah, and you got to take into consideration that these three gunas, they are what is considered in Theosophy prakriti, which is the material, the root material that make up all of the universe. So they are in their nature behave in this fashion, right? So as a human being, we actually are composed of 7 different principles, right? And each one of those, we typically will have a vehicle associated with it. At the physical plane, we have a physical body. Our physical body has up and down and so on as well, right? Sometimes we over-exercise our physical body, then we get tired, right?
Each of those vehicles is also sevenfold.
Yes.
Like the physical is sevenfold. The
Emotional
emotional sevenfold. The mind nature is sevenfold. Buddhic sevenfold. Atmic sevenfold. Monadic. All the way to Adi, the highest.
Yeah.
All 7 planes also have 7. Which one?
Exactly.
Yeah, so you gotta remember that all of our vehicles are just constantly doing this, right? They gravitate between wherever,
I
right?
mean, just walking.
Yeah,
Balance and, knowing, yeah, it's a balancing act.
yeah. So going back to what I say about the analogy, Tamas to me is like the mineral, the rocks. They were part of the chain of evolution, within the divine plan. The chain of the evolution is you basically
Involution first.
involution
And
first.
then evolution.
So involution is about taking the subtler form from the divine and putting on extra clothes and sheath and so on to make everything denser so that you can manifest, right, in a variety of different fashion. That is involution. So now everything gets denser and denser and denser. The denser it gets, what happened is mobility is hindered. So tamas is, to me, would be like the mineral, the rocks, and so on. They are so dense that the electron in them, they don't move that like a normal, right? Yeah. Yep. So what happened is for them to make a change, to move from immobilization to being mobile, an external force need to happen, a shock essentially need to happen. So the mineral themselves, the rock themselves, they need the nature, force of nature to move them. Either lightning shock them, break up the rocks and so on, or people crushing the rock or whatever it is. That is to activate their sense of the rajas. Once that rajas happen, you move up to the plane kingdom. Now at the plane kingdom, you see that tree could sway, right, back and forth. So mobility now is the key for the plane kingdom. So rajas itself represent the plane kingdom because you are free to move in all sorts of directions, right? The branches, by the force of the wind, you can sway back and forth. There's more flexibility. You are no longer bound like the rocks, right? However, the last one, sattva, is where the goodness come in. So something like the animal. With the animal, they have both immobility and mobility. Unlike the plant, where it's limited mobility, the animal now can move freely. And they can choose, they have the ability to choose whether to stay immobile or being mobile. So that's how I look at this to get a better understanding of these three state of the what they call quality of nature. So Mother Nature established this, and it essentially is among every living being. Yeah. So the three guna are constantly changing and affecting our desire and inclination throughout the day. The same is happening to all other people around us, our family, our friend, our relative. So how can you expect that other will always think in conformity to your own thinking, right? We create so much anxiety and tension that we burn up so much energy that we don't even see the thing they are as they are. This comes from Swami Anugunda. Yeah, Swami Makunananda, which is yes, his website. If you go to Google and you search the internet, you will see that Bhagavad Gita, the Song of the Gods, that's essentially his website.
So many of them. You know,
There's so many, I think it's a good one.
This is one a good one because this one go into more like a layman term.
in one- bunch of us got together and went to go see him. And he gave his speech, you know, like they always do. And then we got into a line and went by him, and he had, what is that thing called that the plant that's long and it's real fluffy.
Is it a palm?
It's like palm, but it's real fluffy. It's got little. I don't forget the name of it, but he had these, you know, and we passed by him, and he would go like this on the top of our head as we passed by, you know.
Mhm.
You know, so it came to me and hit me twice, and I said, and no, he was real interested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Takes so much anxiety and tension.
Yeah. And then we burn up our energy and we don't see things the way they are. That's why we have unrealistic expectations from others, and then we become disturbed when those expectations are not met.
And that goes back to incorrect identity and associated in our own heads.
Yes, it comes back to the ignorance, right? We're not aware that we are not those things, and we misidentify with them. Yeah. So that's why when we gain knowledge and understand the nature of the work being driven by the three mode of the Maya, we see things differently. Yeah.
Purify your desire. The more you purify the desire nature, the more you connect up with Buddha, like he was talking about.
Yeah.
Which is not easy to do, by the way. But I'm saying you can do it.
You can do it.
You can do it. You have to do it. Yeah, you have to do it.
At work.
Yeah, you have to do it wherever you are. No matter while you're talking and speaking and working, your mind, keep thy mind on me and thou shalt surely come to me. Bhagavad Gita. Anyway, so that's Krishna saying, you have to keep your mind on me at all times.
Yeah.
And I tried to do that. It's not easy. Everybody says, oh, it's easy. No, it's not easy. No, it's extremely difficult. You know, because it's so easy, you know, to fall off.
Like say on this working world, like, yeah, I have to keep that mind where I'm seeing things differently, as opposed to when you're coming to a conversation, you already are thinking about what you want to say. That's not the point.
As soon as your desire nature comes in there, then the brain falls away from the higher nature because it pulls it down.
Yeah.
So you have to do both. You have to purify the mind and purify the emotions. And then both of these have to be focused on God through your soul. And you have to fuse your soul and your mind and your heart into one thing. And it's not easy.
And if you do that in one thing, then if you have that in one thing, then the way you speak and you behave will be that one thing. It won't be anything different.
Well, eventually you get to a point where it becomes unbroken. You live in an unbroken meditation. So, and I've tried to do that, but
I think all of us have.
everybody, right? But you know, I'm like, okay, this is it, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And then 5 minutes later, I already forgot about it. My mind is racing
Yeah.
down to something else.
Great basketball player. How did he become a great basketball player? Was it his good looks or was it his innate ability? You know, when he was in school, he was thrown out of the basketball team. Yeah, he was. So what he had to change that to become the greatest.
Yeah.
So what is that talent right there? He couldn't resist being changed because there must have, again, going back to inertia, was there a desire to be the best? What was it?
Yeah,
Then we talk about desire, like if he let go of his desire, he'd be like, okay, let's give up.
Yeah.
So
But there's different levels of desire.
that's what I'm saying.
Low desire, which is lust,
But
but only thinks of itself.
was that desire for himself?
It was, but it's concentrated desire. One pointing. He had to use his mind too, of course.
Then he had to change his thought.
Yeah, he had to change his thought pattern, right.
Someone said, I'm not good, but really kicked out of the basketball, right?
Yeah,
And then he becomes the greatest basketball.
period, yeah.
Yeah, so somewhere along the line, he realized Dharma to be the best basketball player. That is his Dharma. He was a divine spark that was born to inspire other people. And to fulfill that Dharma, he had to become the best basketball player. Somewhere along the line, he realized that self-realization is important. Yeah.
In this evolution.
Yeah. So it all depends on that like you say, the mindset, right? Once you fully realize what your duty or dharma in life is, and you fulfill it so that you can manifest it.
Because, yeah, you will. Well, you'll, as far as you can go this life, yes. And then next life, when you come back again, and I don't know when that is. Everybody has all kind of theories about that. So we're not going to just
go there.
Yeah, I'm not going to go there because I don't really think people understand how that works. Yeah, but anyway, when you come back again, then you'll start where you left off last time. I think it's by the time you reach your 21st year, because everything's in 7-year cycle.
Okay.
So when you're 21 to 28 next life, then you'll recuperate everything that you achieved this life, and then you can move forward again and keep going.
So going,
more and more.
Based on what you said, from what I heard, and I think I also listened.
Let me ask you this, maybe you can answer your own question.
You come into this life because you had certain desires.
Right.
And it's only a portion of that big circle,
right.
Of the big pie.
Right.
And then whatever, and then the reason we come back and reincarnate is because we still have desires. We come back with the next set of desires, and the next set. So it's desires that we haven't fulfilled.
Right, but those desires always reach higher
desire.
Higher desire. It's like in the.
So we cannot say all desire, let go of desire. I mean, we have to take it in context and in context. Okay, so what did you want to say?
Okay, let me ask you, is your Dharma constant? Okay, that's good. So Michael Jordan, his Dharma was to be the best basketball player. Did he achieve it? Okay. Is his Dharma at this moment in time still the same. Exactly. So if you really think the nitty-gritty detail of what your Dharma is essentially your duty at this present moment. That's all it is.
Your karma, your duty and responsibility for the karma that you have to work off, and you know. But anyway, so you have to. Yeah. I think the closer you get to God and God consciousness, the master will through your soul, the master will reveal how you can work off your karma correctly. You know, when you get to that level, I'm not saying I'm there, I'm just.
I think it's through meditation.
Yes, that's it.
Meditation.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't like to balance out in this lifetime.
Yeah. So if you talk about going back to your mindset, talk about mindset. The mindset is always, it doesn't matter what your Dharma is. What matters at this point in time is fulfill whatever duty you have to the best of your ability. That's what matters. Because what happened is Dharma is all depend on other factors as well. Michael Jordan is at the peak time of his career, when his body was still okay, he can achieve that Dharma. But at this point in time, he can no longer achieve the Dharma that he used to be able to do, right? So that's why you gotta look at your talent, ability, health, everything in holistic manner. Because Dharma itself will vary and constantly changing throughout your entire lifetime. But when we were born into this world, we are given certain talent, right? And ability and whatever, right? The one that know how to utilize their talent and ability to the best of what they are trying to fulfill, those are the one that will manifest or make the best impression or expression in life. As opposed to like, I have no tendency in the art, right? I'm not a good painter at all. If you throw me and say that my Dharma is to be a painter, I'm going to paint. Nobody wants to, right? But I have other quality. For example, I want to analyze the data. I want to do stuff with the computer and stuff like that. So if you throw me and say, oh, my Dharma is into software engineering, developing this, analyzing the data, I'm perfect. Yeah. Because God given me that talent, that ability to do that, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So maybe is that a resistance? Maybe you may not be a master in it, but you can try it.
You can try it. It's more like a hobby, right? It's more like a hobby. It become a hobby. The thing about the difference between a hobby and work is work, you place more focus into it, right? More effort, more time dedicated to it. As well about the hobby, it's less. Now, the best situation is people that know how to turn their hobby into work. That's the best situation.
What mindset comes in.
Yeah.
But to have an enterprise mindset, you have to change the mindset of the person, people, to get that big enterprise mindset, right?
Yeah.
And that's a big challenge. There are people who have been there for years who would resist change. They don't want change.
And also, each person has different characteristics and qualities they develop. And from what I've studied, they say there are 7 different types, you know.
Personality.
Yeah, right, personality, soul, whatever, life. There are 7 life waves, basically. And each of the life waves we have within ourselves. So maybe your mindset is more attuned to a mathematical bent. You know what I mean? And maybe you can see truth through time and space theories and ideas better than the next person. They have a different quality. They approach it maybe from artistic or whatever it is, you know. But each person evolves, but they have qualities along one of the 7 life waves that they are working with, you know.
Is it the 7 rays?
Yes.
The 7 rays.
Yes, the 7 rays, that's it. I don't say that because most people don't. Bailey. That comes from the Bailey, basically. Blavatsky did talk a little bit about that, but not too much, but not too much, just a little bit. And then Bailey really got into it. And so I studied that all, I love that stuff.
So right now, I know this at work. Then I do this other work, the mind side work. So I'm like balancing between the two, because you have using a different brain.
What kind of work is that?
Analyzing business processes.
That's what you do? Oh, wow. That's
Streamlining, that's, you have to use your analytic mind. And when I do this work, I'm using my intuitive mind. It's a different whole mindset, it's a different space.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one way here,
Yeah.
one way there.
Yeah. Yes, and everybody's different, you know.
And I want to go there. I have to do my duty here.
Just like astrology. I'm now trying to study astrology and understand it. There's a book called Theosophical Astrology. Anyway,
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
but it's fascinating.
Live here.
Yeah, but it's fascinating though, because it's all a part of,
It's all.
astrology, the science of astrology basically explains everything. I mean, it's all there. But your interpretation will be different from this guy's, and his interpretation of it is different from mine.
Yeah. I'm doing Qigong. Qigong helps me with the physical.
Right.
The analytical mind, the mental mind,
Right.
the intuitive mind. But how do I bring this all together, right? It's all one. It's not separate.
No,
It's not separate. It's all one.
it's one. But our mind, our lower mind, what they call Tama mind, or the lower mind, it likes to separate, it likes to separate this from that. Black from white, green, you know what I mean? It separates everything.
Yeah. So to answer your question, you are caught in what is called attachment, the like and dislike. So what it's saying in here is abandon the like and dislike. Just follow the will of God.
You're doing it already.
What is the will of God? You tell me what is the will of God in your company? What does your manager want you to do? Yes. That is the will of God. God used your manager as his hand to command you to do this. So do it to the best of your ability.
Yeah, you're doing it already.
Right?
Everything.
Yes.
It's all encompassing.
Yeah.
Encompasses everything.
Yeah. But it's talking about the immediate situation you are in. What is it that the will of God wants you to do? And that's what you want to do the best of. Yeah.
That's why I'm questioning about mindset. I'm doing that. It's my will of God, and then doing, I mean, all three is helping me. Right?
Yeah.
I like them all.
It's all service.
It's all service.
Everything is service. And so the more unselfish service that you can manifest in your life, the greater that you see the truth. Because you're forgetting yourself. And your energy is going to helping others. And so the more you can master this, and whatever field you're in, whether it's this or science or whatever, but you have to achieve service, right?
Yeah.
You have to help. It's helpfulness of others and forgetting your own little self and concentrating on giving, helping, and enlightening others. And of course, this is just like you said, it has to do with love. That's all. It's the manifestation of love.
There's a footnote that I really like that I hate. 15 minutes.
Oh.
And we are nowhere near even the middle.
Sorry. Keep talking.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a saying that I really like. One of my co-workers actually used as his signature in the email. And they say, leaving the way better than the way you found it. That's all it is. Whatever you do, leave it better than the way you found it. Don't make it a mess. Yeah.
Not worse.
Yeah.
What they really need, not necessarily what they want.
Exactly.
Because what they want may not be what they really need.
Mm-hmm.
People want things that they don't need. And so you may not want to give them what they want.
That's how you.
Right.
Yeah.
You may be able to see something that's better for them. So you present to them what you know, what you understand is what they need, and so you give them that. Now, whether they take it or not, that's up to them. That's their free will. All you can do is offer. And if they take it and use it correctly, that's good. Then you served. You did the best you could.
Yeah.
All right. So going back.
I know he's only got 15 minutes, so we got to let him. Yeah, he's got a lot still to cover in 15 minutes. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right. These oscillation will take place. If somebody doesn't agree with me, it's only natural. It's not the end of the world. So when we accept the reality of the situation, we won't be disturbed and not disappointed. Because now that we have the understanding that everybody operates at a different frequency, because the mental state, the physical state, the emotional state, the intellectual state, mindset, everything is operating up and down all the time, right? So just because they behave and act in some way, that doesn't mean they're doing it wrong or anything. It's just by nature, people act because of the goodness. At different level, it operates differently.
Also, the Aquarian. That's astrology. And water of life am I poured forth for 13 years. That's the given. We just did our full moon meditation. We do each month we do a meditation. You know what I mean? For each, like we just did Aquarius. It's 5 days. We do 2 days before, the day of, and 2 days after the full moon. And we have this long thing that we go through. We sit down and we do all these prayers and mantras or whatever. You know what I mean? And then you get to the seed thought. And then you concentrate for 10 minutes upon the seed thought that relates to a particular month of the sign of what we're talking about. So Aquarius, we just did Aquarius. I think we ended yesterday, actually.
So what was it, this, what was the theme thought?
The theme thought for Aquarius was water of life, Emma, poured forth for thirsty men. I love it. Anyway, and that's Aquarius.
That's my sign.
That's your sign, see? And also, now that's for this month, but also we're coming into the Aquarian age also as on a bigger cycle. So Pisces is not going out, which is sixth ray, idealism, fanaticism, all this kind of. Okay, I'm sorry, and then that goes out, and then the seventh ray is coming in, which has to do with ceremonial magic and order and blah, blah, blah. Okay, and that comes in with the Aquarian energy. And so now the Aquarian energy is coming in, and supposedly it's supposed to be a very uplifting, revealing the truth and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go. Oh, well, we're cutting into it. Yeah, he's only got 10 minutes. We got it. Let it. Keep cutting them off.
If we are not aware of the effect of this quality on everything around us and on our own action, we think that we're deciding this matter and get attached to the result of the action because they are our action. But if we realize that the action has not been chosen, are not intentional, but are just conditioned result of the quality of matter, we realize that they have nothing to do with the real us. So then we're not attached to that result. Okay? On the other hand, it would be easy to misinterpret this concept as saying that it doesn't matter what we do, so we can do whatever we like. Thus, take an excuse for failing to control one's own action. Most people need to consider the consequence of their action, good or bad, as motivation for acting rightly.
Especially when they're not watching. Hey. Interesting.
So, one may question if the self, soul, is truly the non-doer, then why is it implicated in the law of karma for action performed by the body? And the answer is, the reason is that the soul does not itself perform the action, but it does direct the action of the sense, mind, intellect mechanism. Because the cell is the driver at the end of the day.
So,
The cell is...
the spell. C-E-L-L?
No, self.
Oh, spell.
Yeah, the self, in this case, it will be the intellect. Yeah, the intellect itself. So, for example, the example that we're given is the chariot driver. Does not pull the chariot himself, but he does direct the horse. The horse is the body, the rein is the mind. So if there's an accident, it's not the horse that are to be blamed, but the driver who's directing them. Similarly, the soul is held responsible for the action of the mind-body mechanism because the sense, mind, intellect work on receiving inspiration from the self of the soul.
Yes.
So don't let your driver fall asleep.
It's on the reins.
So sometimes I don't have enough sleep, and so he had to sit in the back and kind of like, that's why I call backseat driving. Yeah.
Well, that's what they call the lower self and the higher self. So, I mean, that's, and then the spark of divinity, just like he was talking.
Sure.
So the monad is the spark of life that you are, life itself, which is a spark of God. We all have monads.
So it's like the life force energy.
Yes, yes, yes. And that's the first,
Cheese.
the first aspect, God the Father. God the Father, the first aspect, the monad. And then the second aspect, love, wisdom, the soul. Karana Sarera, the soul body, the causal body. I'm sorry, I could go on and on and on. I've been studying, I'm telling you, I've been studying it for 56 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I could go on for hours, but of course I'm not gonna do that. He's got
He's good now.
1 minute. No, he's got 1 minute to finish.
So having thus abolished the ego, the enlightened being or the knower of the truth are free from bodily identifications and are able to discern their spiritual identity distinct from the corporeal body. Hence, they are not to go into thinking of themselves as doer of their material action, and instead they attribute every activity to the movement of the three gunas. Such God-realized saints say, God is doing everything, but people are thinking that I'm doing it. Yeah, God giving me the resource, the energy, the wealth, and so on, so on, so on, to do these things. But I'm not the doer, it's God that is doing the work.
But you have a responsibility to direct these energies and forces on lives. Because everything is lives, on different, many, countless lives.
Yeah,
So your personality, you have a mind that you drive, you have emotion you drive, and then your physical body you drive.
And then you also have to say God is doing everything that we have to
Right. Free will.
choose,
To
whether
choose.
we go God's way or our way.
Correct. Right.
Okay, let's continue.
that's yeah, that's what separates us from machine. Yeah, and only in human that has free will. Animal do not have that yet. The animal do not have free will yet, so I don't think I'm going to cover this in